Frighteningly tall and strong, draped in servant's robes, a man stomped inside, faced as though looking at toads. He called us little bastards, saying from that day on, we'd be chopping woodlots for him, being his little pawns. Scared by how my sleepy roommate bit through our wooden table, I tried politely asking him to lower his voice if able. He interrupted me, then called me a fart, said that I wouldn't try to order him around if I were smart. Seeing how this man far outclassed me in brawn, I thought to choose our overseer to depend on. I brought him up and said that I didn't want to offend. The tyrant just sneered in order to chop an extra 10. I couldn't believe how unlucky I was that I just arrived at the immortal sect, only for someone bigger than me to immediately use disrespect. My mind raced, searching for a way out, and a brilliant plan unfurled. Fatty, someone's trying to steal your manto and your girl. As soon as the words were out of the mouth, the fat teenager sat up with his eyes closed. The boy was somehow still fast asleep, but jumped to his feet and entered killing mode. The bully lashed out with a slap, still in and out. The kid caught his arm with his teeth of all the things, and somehow stayed latched on. The burly bully was also clearly quite the mere mortal as he cried out in pain. His house soon caught the supervisor's ire, which he explained. The kid biting into his arm needed to let go because nothing was worse than getting on the overseer's bad side and suffering his deadly curse. I didn't care much for the possibility of dying to a curse when such the heavenly opportunity of becoming an immortal was in my clutch. I leaned over to carefully whisper in the boy's ear, whom I'd begun seeing as my peer, whispering that after all his fighting, the evils that plagued him had disappeared. Just as I'd predicted, he relaxed as John returned to bed. Suddenly unrestricted, the man apologized and left our shed. I stood there for a while, shocked at how well things turned out. I gave the kid a smile, then fell asleep, quite worn out. The sun's rays filled the sky, melodious bells filled the air. Now awake, the kid misidentified why his face fell into disrepair, asking me if anything happened last night, to which I kept a straight face. I couldn't mention his awesome fight, so said he fell off his bed, the floor he embraced. I told the kid that for his own sake, he should really sharpen his teeth. Then we set out to do our jobs for the day, which neither of us could complete. I chopped down a couple of trees while Fatty felled 8. We were too weak. The combined 10 logs were only enough for a single meal. We wanted to weep. It was now dusk, and while the kids slept, I was wide awake. Used to being hungry, not without work, that I was quite spent, so it was real great. No reason to be angry. In all truth, the workload is quite burdensome, but at least I'd shelter. I was a dweller. I didn't fester. I now had elders. This was ultimately better, incredibly better than the life I'd led before being kidnapped. Back then, no parents or money and tons of debt. Here I'd have witchcraft, at least that was the hope, because it wasn't anything guaranteed. I have to work myself to the bone, far past to the point I bleed. 2 months passed in the blink of an eye. It was finally time for me to feel a high, one of emotions, not drugs, cause I'd accomplished a lot, not crumbs. Yeah, I managed to fell 4 trees in a day, twice more than when I'd started, but that didn't compare to the chi I condensed on the cultivation path I departed. After going so far as to neglect my sleep, it was now the time for me to happily reap all the glorious fruits for a while my hard labor. If I keep this up, I'll be more than a retainer. Another couple tough months flew by, and I don't know if I was gifted a miracle. The chi inside finally diffused to I, and Meng Hao joined the world of the mythical. The very next day, under the envious eyes of all the other servants, the game was on. My life had begun, and I was kinda nervous. The supervisor awaited me outside my dwelling. My emotions were swelling. His gaze was no longer an expression of glare. To me, at least, he wasn't overbearing. Reaching the first level of chi condensation, he first gave me his congratulations, saying doing so in only 4 months is something pretty good, that it should be celebrated, though not something too decorated. It was something that idiots bannered, and that I was no longer relegated to the life of a servant. My status was elevated. Now a cultivator, I was being moved to the outer sect, where I was allowed direct contact with immortal treasures that I could collect using disrespect, because the outer sect was left unchecked because they purposely neglected it. I thought it was suspect, but that was just how it was. Not strong, you're gonna be wrecked. Regardless, this was the start of my life as more than a normal civilian, as though the stars had aligned for me. The odds, 1 to a million. Excitement for my future rushing through me, my hot blood vermilion. From there I gleefully followed a floating jade slip to the treasure pavilion. Following the slip, I further realized the sect might have a tragic crisis of management, because in the eyes of all as I passed, I found no niceness. But the rules will remain unchanged by patriarch reliance, an enigmatic title, and cause of that I fear I might have to learn what it is to be homicidal. Now at the treasure pavilion, it was brilliant, and I was given a ton of stuff. A spirit tablet, a green robe, a bag of holding, even my own home. More than that I can choose a single magic item. The decision will be tough. Will I find a broken weapon, magic tome, a spirit melon, or a killing comb? I have to think hard about this so that I don't end up buried beneath 2 meters of stone.